So I make bird fountains for all kinds of birds. I love making the fountains. They love it so much. Well, you know what? I wasn't paying attention because I experiment with all kinds of things. We're going to come back to this. Let's see if you're paying attention because I missed it at first too. So I make ice cream ones. Those are made from scratch, and that worked out perfect. They loved it. And then I came back with a kid's toy. Food safe. The birds loved it. They didn't care if it was strawberry or mint chip. Then I made floating fountains, and then I made hanging fountains because, oh, that is so loved. And it's not too hard to put together. I know a lot of you are making them and telling me how much you love making them. And then we also did the turkey baster. That was amazing. All the birds loved that. They can bathe on the bottom, the top, and the hummingbirds. Oh my gosh, it turned out to be one of their favorites to the point I had to make more. So I put 2 of them out there. Didn't really work that well because some of them wanted both. You put 2 out, both belong to me. And then you've got the cups. Anybody can get a cup. You can get that at the store. And the soda bottles, we all have soda bottles, but I still have something better yet. Then you've got balls. They love their balls, whether it's cement or styrofoam. Well, let me tell you something. There's something we all have, and if we don't have it, we can find it. We can get it for free. Well, we know a friend that's got it, and we also know a restaurant has it. All you have to do is ask them when you go in, can I have that out of your trash? Even gas stations. Anywhere you go, you'll find it. Let's get into this because this experiment not only worked out fantastic, all the birds love it. It's free, it's easy, and just too fun to make. Do you know what it is? Take a close look. Today you're in for a treat. This is the cutest fountain I've ever made, and I am going to see these duplicated all over, I guarantee you. Being that you can get this for free and the birds absolutely love it, let's just get right into this. I can't stop watching this. With great anticipation, I wait for my cup of tea. It's almost ready. Oh my gosh, here it comes. And that's it. That's all I need. I don't need the tea. Gary can drink that. So guess what it is? You know what it is. It's a K-Cup. We all have them. You can find them so many places. I'm going to tell you that this has turned out to be fabulous because hummingbirds don't like spring water a lot. Sometimes they just want water to roll on their body. And when I put it out and I was experimenting, as I was working on another fountain, I wasn't even paying attention that the hummingbirds had come straight into the K-Cup. That's why I wanted to share this and make sure that you see this because what we've created is a bubbler. So it won't matter how hard your fountain is pumping because the cup's got to fill up and then overflow. And that is what a bubbler does. And that's what hummingbirds love. Apparently, so do the orioles and so many other birds. Let's get right into making this because you'll see lots of footage I've done. And there's going to be a whole lot more because I am now incorporating my K-Cups into a lot of different fountains. Let's get into this. So with this fun fountain, we're going to use a shoebox. Now keep in mind, if you've got something else that will work, you use what you've got. But right now we're going to use a $1 shoebox and it's going to work fantastic. Now the lid won't work this way, so I'm going to invert it. And the reason is the water would run down the sides and out of the shoebox. So this way I know it's got a lip and any water coming off of the fountain when we design it will go back into the shoebox. Now the first thing I'm going to do with this one, because it's not that stable, is I'm going to make 4 holes, 1 on each corner. You could always do more if you want, but this is going to work for me. And then I'm going to stick some skewers in there. And they're real cheap. You can pick a whole package up of skewers for about $1. And what I'm making here are legs. It's going to hold the lid in place, so if a big bird came and landed on it, it won't go anywhere, and it's going to hold it up. It'll make it really nice and secure. See how it's going to slip in? And this way, the lid can't accidentally slip off. Now, if you can see that your shoebox can be used with the lid in the regular position, then go for it. But most of them I have found do need to be inverted like this. And look at that, nice and snug. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to slip around. And now you're ready to start setting up. Now what we have to do is we're going to have to do holes, multiple holes, you'll see. We're going to have to put a hole in the center. And then we're going to do other holes as well because our straw is going to come up through the center and that's where our water is going to come out from. because our pump will be sitting inside the shoebox. Remember, it's designed to be in water, and that's where the water is going to come out. You're going to have that whole lid where birds can play on. So now with your hot soldering iron, we're going to make that hole big enough. Don't worry, we'll come back if it's not big enough and make it bigger, because we're going to also need holes all the way around. Now you see the dip? There's no use in putting holes on the top. You see how it bulges out towards me, towards you, but the bottom part, that's reservoirs for water. So we want to make sure the water goes back into the shoebox. Make a bunch of holes. More holes are better than less holes. If you put small holes on the top, it won't be a mistake, but it's not going to do anything really. So make sure the water, wherever you're making those holes, will end up going back into your shoebox, not on the outside, so don't get too close to the edge. And there it is. Now you can see how the straw is going to go in. Once our pump is in there, we'll have it all attached, and we'll have a self-contained water fountain that will be endless water and all going back into the shoebox, which is really cool. Just wash it maybe once a week, but you can do it sooner if you want. Now, what is important is we need a solar fountain kit that has a panel. We don't need all the attachments. It comes with all kinds of things, but we don't want water spraying. This particular fountain is too small to make things spray because it will spray out and over the shoebox and be gone. And what we're going to do is attach the straw to the part that attaches to the pump. Now this is how simple it goes together. The straw is going to go in the pump, the lid goes on, and the skewers are going to hold it all together. We're going to cut the sticks down too, the skewers. We don't want them that tall, unless you've got a different idea for it. Now here is the fun part. We're making a bubbler. A bubbler, and look at that. There is the K-Cup. Now come on, you can find the K-Cup somewhere because, well, we've got them everywhere, and they're free. We're going to cut the center out. I'll tell you, I should have used my soldering iron. I did use the scissors, but that's okay. It doesn't matter that it's a little too big, because I'm going to show you how we're going to attach that straw to the K-Cup, and we're going to turn this into a wonderful, soft, flowing bubbler. What we're going to start doing is using our glue gun, and we're going to go all around the hole. Make sure you use plenty of glue. Be very careful. Do not burn your hands. And as you can see, I'm putting junk mail underneath, so if the glue drips down, it's not going to go on my table. It's going to go on that paper. And yes, I had a friend that was a postmaster and told me never to call it junk mail because they make all their money that way. But anyways, I call it junk mail. So keep some of it for your arts and crafts work. Now just go ahead and put the glue all the way around. Now you can put the straw in. Try not to get it too much in the center. Just kind of push it through gently and kind of give it a little twist. Now, as you see here, we're not putting the straw to the top. We don't want the water to shoot up. We want it to fill the cup. That's a big difference. That's why I'm calling it a bubbler. The water will come up from the pump through the straw and then slowly fill the cup. Now let me give you one other hint, because it takes a while to wait for that straw to set. You can run that under cold water in the sink, and when you do that, it sets it really good. So make sure you're holding it nice and straight, or get it straight, and then rinse it under the water. Don't worry if there's coffee stains inside your K-Cup. It will be fine, and the cold water will set it. It still won't be super hard. It still will take a little time, but this sets it really good. Now you can go back with your glue gun and continue to fill in any holes that are left. You can have as much glue as you want on there and give it that little twist if it comes loose, because we want to make sure we seal it up as best as we can. And remember, there is a hole on the bottom of the K-Cup, so you want to make sure you put a little dab of glue there and make sure the glue goes all the way through. And that means through that little hole, so it's on both ends, so it's kind of like a divot on both sides, because it becomes like a rivet, and it will hold really good and it won't fall off, and as well on the hole as we made for the straw. So you want that glue to be pushed through on both ends, so it becomes too big to go up or down. It's going to stay stable, and then we're just going to make sure our straw is really straight. Oh, Robbie, straighten it out. So now it is nice and straight. Now if you wanted to, you could go ahead and put a little decor on it, especially around the bottom if you don't like looking at the glue. Just put some more glue on there, and then you can put anything you want. Here I've got a couple polished stones, but you could put even, let's say, plastic plants from an aquarium. I have seen aquarium plants at dollar stores, but don't make it too heavy. We still want to keep this somewhat light. Go ahead and think about any way you want to decorate it, and that's totally up to you. But look how cute that's going to look and how quickly you can transform this into something really pretty. And this is so easy to make. Make sure you make 2 or 3. You're going to end up putting more fountains together. I made a couple at the same time. Now, what I'm doing here is putting a small bead of hot glue all the way around the top. You don't need to do it, but I have found that sometimes the hummingbirds like that little bit there to grip onto. It's kind of like a perch, and they really enjoy that. But you can skip this, and also keep in mind the hot glue is non-toxic. It will not hurt them at all. Notice how hot it has to get even to get soft. So this is perfectly safe to use. And you're going to cut it when you're ready on the length that you need for your fountain setup. Now here we're going to talk about pumps. Now sometimes the straw fits perfect on there. Sometimes it's too big or sometimes it's too small. You can take a piece of straw and you can split it, because it won't work if you just slip it on, because remember, the straw is just too big. Split it all the way up. Now slip it onto your pump. Now you slip the straw over that. You've given it a little bit of thickness and you just twist it on, and it's tight. If it's the opposite and your straw is too small, you can put it over your hot glue gun. Just gently twist it and make the end a little bit bigger. Now all you have to do is set it up. And let's go get this thing set up so we can watch the birds enjoy this. So now we can take it outside or do this in the house. I cut the straw. I like having my lift about 6 inches, but you could go a little bit more, or you can go as short as you want. Now my straw is too big for the pump, so I split the straw. I put that layer on the bottom, and I'm going to push my straw onto that second layer when I split it. Now see how snug it is? You can lift it up. For me, adding on that extra piece that was split really holds on to the pump very good. Now the other thing we can do here is take a hot soldering iron and make a notch wherever you decide you want to make a notch for your cord. That's all there is to it. Now don't put the cord in until it cools. It takes a few minutes. Now you can set it up, and the cord will be pushed down a little bit, so this way you can put the lid on nice and flat. See? Isn't that easy? This is so fun. You can't get any easier than this, and the cord won't move around either. And one more thing, the reason I love this type of kit is you can take the panel, put the panel in the sun, but you can set your fountain in the shade. And now all you have to do is fill it with water. And remember, you can set this in a planter or anything. It'll look beautiful. So on the floating fountain, the solar fountain, this is how I found out the hummingbirds like it, but I'm going to explain why it may not work that good. The shaking is the orioles landing all over the top, wanting that hummingbird to go away because these fountains belong to them, as you probably saw in the other video I made earlier. But as you see, the floating ones are nice and they have their purpose, but it may not work that well for the K-Cup. Now one last tip, though it is really nice to put a K-Cup on one of these floating discs, see this shadow? If a bird stands up here and creates even a bigger shadow, it won't work. Certain times, even though you might be able to turn it a little bit, if too much of this disc where the lines are gets covered, it doesn't get enough power. So that's why a K-Cup may not be a good choice for one of these floating solar discs. And here is an example. This one is not quite getting enough. There's too much shadow. See on the back there's shadow from the cup, but this one hanging up high is running fine. So just keep that in mind, that the K-Cup can sometimes create too much of a shadow, but you could make it a little taller if your pump can handle it, and you may be able to bypass the shadow for your fountains. So my hopes are that I gave you some ideas on how to make a bubbler for your hummingbirds and all the different birds, even if you don't have hummingbirds. You saw while I was working on it, house finches, goldfinches, everybody was coming to it, and the orioles absolutely adore the bubbler. So whatever way it works for you, it doesn't matter what kind of bird, I just want to make sure you can see this is another way to put together a fun solar fountain. I would suggest to get the one with the long cord, because like I was saying, you can set this up beautiful with flowers and plants all around it and have it in the shade or a shadier part, and put your solar panel, because it has a super long cord, off to the side in the sun. So I hope I'm giving you some ideas, and I'm going to have to say that oriole, with the way he tried to get inside that cup, that deserves a video on its own, because I was practically on the floor rolling and laughing when I went back to watch my own footage, and I couldn't believe how funny that bird was. So go make some fountains, have fun, give your birds some place to bathe and cool off for the hot summer, and even in the winter, they have to stay clean. And under the videos, I do post the fountain kits that I buy on how I create my fountains for the birds. So with that, have a wonderful day. And don't forget to eat what you grow. And please like and subscribe if you like this video. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh, I could watch this 1,000 times.